The S24 Ultra now has oneui 8.5. How does it compare to the S26 Ultra now that this also has some updates? Let's find out. Let's go. The ever-evolving software update schedule of Samsung means that the Galaxy S24 Ultra finally has official oneui 8.5 loaded onto it. But like we saw with the Galaxy S24 Ultra, Samsung cut some corners. Did they do the same here? Let's take a look. Starting with the obvious changes that we know are the same, changes to the quick panel, for example. Samsung have now pretty much enabled full control over the customization of your quick panel, where things are located, the size of the tiles that are on there. You can remove things should you want to, and then you can also add stuff back in should you need to. So if you've deleted something or you just want to add something else in, you can go into the add a control section, have a peruse around, find the thing you want, add it in to your quick panel. With oneui 8.5 and Good Lock combined with the Quick Start module, Samsung have allowed you to take it a step further too. So when you go into the advanced settings of Quick Start, you can enable more fluid customization with more free movement of your tiles, which gives you the absolute crazy combinations that you can go with, whether that be making things a massive square, whether making things vertical or horizontal. You've got control over it now, pretty much to your heart's content. Go in and do it. As well as other things like tapping the show the bar levels option, which allows you to see the volume slider and the brightness slider with a number attached to it. Some people prefer that. That's all in there now. Some other slight visual tweaks to oneui 8.5 has kind of made the update a little bit better from a visual sense. Things like the gallery and just apps in general having this floating menu, which kind of sit above the app itself and allow you to have almost like a see-through effect with a bit of a Gaussian blur, I think it might be. And it looks great. And I think it gives it a much more visual aesthetic that is premium. Further to that too, Samsung have tweaked the visual refinements within apps and allowed blur top and bottom of each app as opposed to like a hard cutoff like it was before. That extends into things like settings too, where you can go into the settings menu. Not only do you get the cleaner view without all the descriptions, but you also get the search bar down the bottom and you get that sort of softer cutoff when it comes to the settings menu scrolling up and down. Much better than it was before. These are all kind of visual tweaks. And while some people say that visual tweaks don't matter, sometimes they do. I think it gives a better emotional feeling when you're using your phone as opposed to just not caring about it. But in terms of feature set updates, well, there's a bit that we can compare here. Starting with Galaxy AI, I think Samsung with the S26 series brought a lot of cool new AI features into the play. This was really the first phone to have Galaxy AI as a starting point. So I'll be interested to see how Samsung have brought it down here. The first big one is to do with call assist and it's call screening. Great to see Samsung have brought one of the best features from the Galaxy S26 Ultra's oneui 8.5 into the S24 series, a 2-year-old phone now. I think what I like about it being here and not just on the S26 series is the fact that if you invested in this phone 2 years ago for Galaxy AI, you're getting some of the better stuff coming down to you. And everything's there. All of the same features, it's matched one-to-one, which is great. Scrolling down the list, you can see a lot of the same names appear there. And then you get to photo assist, which again is one of those things that a lot of people utilize. And I'd be interested to see how Samsung have brought it down here. Well, judging by the menu, the text icon is there in both, which means we should get the Create tab that allows you to type in a prompt and change it. And going into a photo, going into the Galaxy AI icon, you can see the Create tab and you can see the text prompt field. I just wanted to see how both phones would handle it. And the great thing is they do both a great job. Putting a text prompt into here, and then I remembered I didn't have to type it out twice. I could just copy it from this phone and then paste it on the other one. Samsung count for the win. And then I was able to generate the same prompt on both and it put in a nice, cute golden retriever. Golden retrievers are the best dogs. Let me know your favorite dog down below. And if it's not golden retriever, don't bother. I'm joking. All dogs are great. But the great thing is with the new version of Photo Assist is you're not just stopping there. You can just continue to edit and then you can keep adding things or change the style to a different type of style in the style tab. God, stop saying style. And then if you're not happy with the style that you've been produced, I said it again, you can go into the history button that's now there in Photo Assist and go back to a previous version. Also a great option. I like that it stores that there for you. Part of that area of change too is the Creative Studio. Amazing feature, Creative Studio. Just the way Samsung have taken Drawing Assist and made it more usable and practical, but also more fun at the same time, means that it's not just reliant on the S Pen anymore. You can actually have a whole host of different ways to use it. I love creating wallpapers in here. Just taking inspiration from the photos I've captured, typing in a prompt, and again, taking advantage of that beautiful copy and paste feature, and then hitting generate. And then it means I can generate something from my own photo album and turn it into a wallpaper using AI as an option. Great feature, one that I actually had as an app idea that I almost built out, and then I saw this and now I've given up on it. But it's just that really nice touch, and I really liked actually what it did with the coffee cup on the S24 Ultra, so I saved it as a photo because I think it's really cool. And then the other big change is to do with audio eraser. But not if you looked in the menu, you wouldn't tell that anything's changed. It's when you actually go into an app like YouTube, for example. So if you're streaming in YouTube and you want to sort of delete the background noise, you can go down to the quick panel on the S24 Ultra now, and you have the audio eraser toggle there, and you can actually have a few different options to play around with. You've got a strength slider, you've got a voice focus toggle, and it's all just about isolating the voice and cleaning up the audio so you get a better experience. But it's not just YouTube. It works in a lot of third-party streaming services. Netflix being a great example. If you're watching something on there and you think it's too noisy, go ahead, use the audio eraser toggle in the quick panel, delete that background noise, and focus on the voice. So that's the headline stuff that Galaxy AI has brought, but there's a couple of headline stuff that it hasn't, and it's a little bit disappointing. You'll notice in the list the two things that are missing: now nudges, notification highlights and summaries. Don't understand why Samsung haven't been able to bring this down. They brought the now brief down to the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and arguably I would say that's a more powerful AI feature that requires more processing because it's pulling information from a lot of different areas. Notification priorities and notification summaries isn't doing that much work. It's just pushing a notification to the top of the tree as a priority or summarizing a whole bunch of text in an app, something that you can do in a lot of apps on here already. So I'm not sure whether Samsung are waiting for One UI 9 to drop that here, but as of now, both of those features don't exist on the S24 Ultra and One UI 8.5, same as what we saw on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. So just a quick editor's note here, me being the editor. The S24 Ultra also has quick share with Apple. So if I go down into my quick share on here, where is it? Quick share, contacts, settings, share with Apple devices is now part of the quick share process on the S24 Ultra with One UI 8.5. Great news, and means you can now share from here over to here. In fact, whilst I've got it open, we may as well do it, shall we? All right, let's pick a photo, hit share, quick share. It has to turn Wi-Fi off for some reason. I think because it's got to try and create that direct connection. There it is, connecting with Mac. Go over here, find my mouse, hit save to downloads. And it's done. Now that's sort of software side. What about the cameras? It's interesting, whenever a phone gets an update, a lot of people want to know straight away what the camera differences are. And from a software level, not much has changed on the S24 Ultra, although it does get some of the cool stuff from the S26 Ultra. Let's show you what they are. The first one, it's a very tiny one, is if you go into Pro mode or Pro Video mode, there's a little toggle there that gives you the clean preview. So it removes all the distractions and gives you a clean preview of the photo. Neat, but it's a very small one to start off with. Some of the bigger ones though, is that if you go into video and you turn on log, you've now got live LUT previews that you could take advantage of. You can see it there side by side. It functions exactly the same on the S24 Ultra as it does on the S26 Ultra. And it just means if you're out and about and you want to get a preview of something using a LUT, you can turn it on and you can see what it'll look like overlaid over your video. I'll show you in a moment though, because you can actually in post actually go and get a LUT in the editing feature, but I'll show you that when I talk about performance. And if you go into Camera Assistant with the new camera app, you'll see some of the new toggles that are in there on the S26 Ultra to the S24 Ultra. Not everything though, some things are missing, which is what I'm going to get to now. Probably the most disappointing one of all is no 24 megapixel. We saw the same here with the S25 Ultra not having that option too. I get it here a little bit more because of the fact you've only got 2 high resolution cameras versus 3. Although the Galaxy S26, the base model, which only has 1 high resolution camera, has 24 megapixel as an option. So I don't really know why it's not here, as I didn't know why it was on the S25 Ultra. But it's not there. Some obvious ones like no APV, which is fair enough. This doesn't have the capability to shoot APV as a codec in the chip. It is a hardware level thing that the S26 Ultra can take advantage of that. And you obviously could do 8K APV log too, which is amazing, but this will never be able to do it. Something I found a little bit perplexing though, is if I go into Camera Assistant and there's an additional mode section in both because for some reason Samsung have removed some modes. On the S26 Ultra, the night mode toggle appears there, but for some reason it's still a feature on here. My theory is that the S26 Ultra with the new apertures, Samsung decided that it didn't need a dedicated night mode, because if you go into the photo mode, you'll see that Samsung have basically merged night mode into basic photo mode on the S26 Ultra. So when you click on the night mode toggle, it gives you the option to turn it on for 4 seconds or 6 seconds, or depending on how dark it is, that could extend out. Whereas here you turn it on and it's just automatic. There's no option to change it. And if you go into the More tab, night mode is still there as an option. It's like Samsung haven't deemed this fit enough to be able to handle it in the basic photo mode. Weird. And the other one too, and I don't remember if I filmed it or not, but there's no horizontal lock on here. So that great new feature with Super Steady, not present here, which again doesn't make sense. The ultra-wide camera on here is better than the S26 ultra-wide camera, and that's where most of the horizontal lock feature comes from. Again, I don't know why they wait for this stuff maybe for oneui 9, but it's not there. But I also wanted to check camera output, and I don't necessarily think it's that important because of the fact that realistically Samsung hasn't changed processing too much on their phones over the last couple of years. Each phone has its style and identity, and Samsung tend to just optimize that as opposed to changing it to suit whatever the new phone does. And you could see that in the side-by-sides on the phone screen itself. The way it handles the sky is different. The way it handles dynamic range, the way it handles background blur, it all sticks with its own phone's unique style. You can also see where the 24 megapixel really comes into effect with some more detail and things like the table. But then when you get it onto the big screen and you're looking at it now, you can really see those differences. But it's not as if one is worse than the other, especially in these bright daytime environments. It's just a matter of personal preference. Where the S26 Ultra will always win out is just the hardware flexibility with the increased apertures for the main camera and the 5x telephoto and the high resolution 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, which gives you more detail, especially with the new 24 megapixel mode on board. Also tested a video output just side by side walking around outside the coffee shop. And I think the biggest difference you notice is the speed of dynamic range and how it handles brighter things a bit better with the S26 Ultra, especially coming from bright into dark. It sort of does a better job. But again, you can see that for yourself and you be the judge in the comments below. I think the biggest thing when you compare software updates from an older phone to a new one is how have they managed to go with performance with the software update compared to the new phone, especially with new features added or new processors added. What can it do? I started with Audio Eraser because it's an on-device process. I wanted to see how Samsung, whether they've optimized it or not. It's one feature I've noticed that the older phones tend to do better than the newer ones. And honestly, it was no exception here. The S24 Ultra accounted by a fraction of a second for the S26 Ultra when making an audio eraser export. But that doesn't really tell the whole story because Samsung could have tweaked that feature to perform the same, or the ceiling of performance for that feature might not be as high as something like a real raw video export. And that's where testing the LUT video editing really, I think, will showcase how far or close this goes to the S26 Ultra. So I did record a log video on both phones, and I went into the video editor and added the same LUT to both, the Blockbuster one. God, those were the days when Blockbuster were around, weren't they? Although a lot of people have been flagging on them on Twitter for some reason. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's not the point. So adding the Blockbuster LUT and hitting export, you can really see the difference here. The performance ceiling of the new feature on the S24 Ultra versus the S26 Ultra, which was kind of designed for it. You can see how much faster the S26 Ultra does it in. It's almost twice as fast, or if not more than twice as fast as what the S24 Ultra can do it in. And that's where that performance ceiling is. Think though, if you're doing like standard Galaxy AI stuff, like if you're in Samsung Notes and you're going in and summarizing a note or a script that you've wrote down in there, or if you're using the auto format function and you want to populate a whole bunch of different formats within that Samsung Notes file, I think you'll find that performance will be near enough the same, if not a fraction of a second behind. But for the most part, I think this will do a lot of the stuff you might want to do on your phone the same as the S26 Ultra. Where you upgrade to this is if you want that little bit extra, that ceiling that this is just not going to be able to handle. It's not as if this doesn't get close though. And this does get the Samsung Dex change with the multiple desktops that you can add in, which is great. And you can also see that storage share has been added and giving you that feature on parity as well. But no matter what software updates this gets, there's just hardware features it will never be capable of. The privacy display being a really good example of one that the S26 Ultra has the option to toggle that on and give you a bit of privacy. And then you've got the camera hardware, where the S26 Ultra, as I said, has the bigger apertures, has the high resolution ultra wide camera, and things like APV, which this will just never be able to do. Really though, I think like we saw with the S25 Ultra, this goes close. It gives you enough. I do wish it gives you a little bit more, like the 24 megapixel for me would have been a non-negotiable, but alas, we don't have it. So maybe we'll see what happens with oneui 9. If you want to keep up to date with that, you make sure you hit subscribe to me here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You!